All right, so this is a suggestion via a donation. The name of the video is How the Spirit of Halloween Became a Billion-Dollar Business. All right, let's go. Let's go check this out immediately.
Each year as summer winds down, the ultimate American pop-up retailer winds up.
We've sort of now established August 1st as National Spirit Halloween Day.
Here for work this week from Ireland, and my wife was asking to get some like Halloween stuff while we're here, and we don't have Halloween stores like this back in Ireland.
I mean, yeah, because we are absolute consumers, to our detriment, absolutely, right? So all of these entities say, you know what, listen, how can we take advantage of the American public today? And then they set up shops like this.
2024, the Halloween chain has opened over 1,500 locations across North America.
I've never heard of the place.
Grosses around $1 billion, according to some estimates. Achieving this is not an easy feat, considering the company's unique real estate model.
We don't see an abandoned Kmart.
We see a spirit Halloween.
This New York City flagship Spirit Halloween location opened here for the first time in 2024.
Flagship.
Previously, this 21,000 plus square foot store was a bye-bye baby that became vacant after the company went bankrupt last year.
We spoke with the broker who told us that the asking price for the ground floor of this location is $100 per square foot.
Okay.
The property also includes additional space downstairs at a lower cost. It's unclear what Spirit paid for the duration of its lease.
In retail, Black Friday,
Nowhere near that.
holidays, the periods where you make most of your money. But here, you literally make...
Actually, as a matter of fact, they probably paid more, right? Because if they are exclusively like a seasonal company, they probably paid more because they're only going to be here for 1 or 2 months.
Holidays, the periods where you make most of your money. But here, you're literally making your entire year in 4 weeks, and you have to do it so effectively, and they're really good at it.
So how did Spirit Halloween turn the pop-up store concept into a $1 billion operation?
Pop-up store. Explain this.
These are fun. I'll be a pickle, okay? I'll be the pickle.
I'll be the cup of noodle.
Longtime mall retailer Spencer's bought the Spirit Halloween brand in 1999.
Okay.
After serving as the president of Linens and Things, Steven Silverstein stepped in to run the company in 2003.
I got us all together and I said, all right, let's just imagine for a second. I don't know how we're going to do it, but if we could, do you think the market potential is for Spirit Halloween? So this is 2003. We had 130 stores, and we all sort of got together, held hands, and said, 400. If we could just get the 400, man, that would be unbelievable.
About a decade later, Spirit Halloween
Ooh, he's an innovator.
surpassed 1,000 locations. Today, it sits at over 1,500.
This is pretty awesome.
Spencer Spirit Holdings is a privately held company and declined to share financial data with CNBC. But in 2015, Moody's estimated the company's sales to be around $400 million. By January of 2024, that number had reached $1.9 billion for the combined businesses. Spencer's currently operates less than half the number of Spirit Halloweens, but its stores are open all year round.
Most of the revenue and the margin is generated by Spirit, and most of their the overall business's income and revenue is generated leading to Halloween, that quarter that has Halloween in it.
Guys, here's the issue. I think personally, I think Spencer's was a cool, pretty cool store. It can get a little crazy, right? I wouldn't let your kids, get lost inside of a Spencer's, bro. To be honest. But obviously, Spirit in itself seems to be much more palatable. It's still, horror-esque. People love specifically Halloween for some reason. I have no idea. I don't really celebrate it like that, right? So yeah, the amount of people that love it. Everyone is always looking for a costume. Schools that are kind of requiring it, at least some schools, requiring kids to come to school with costumes. I mean, yeah, this is a big business. Great idea. Absolutely. But all right, let's go.
Let's see what the cost of this costume is. I'm interested. So this would run you $30 to be a pickle.
Okay, the price is interesting.
Spirit's growth in recent years reflects broader U.S. Halloween spending trends. Americans are estimated to spend $11.6 billion on Halloween in 2024. That's around $3 billion more than 2019.
You go back to what happened in 2020, 2021, people had money in their pocket from stimulus. So people started spending more on Halloween. Business at Spirit has more than doubled than pre-COVID in terms of revenue, but they've really been able to drive additional traffic in the store.
The company does operate an online storefront, but told CNBC that accounts for a single-digit percentage of its sales.
Okay.
That's because a key part of its offering is the experiential nature of its stores. Take a look at these animatronics. Or this fun house right here.
A fun house inside of the store. Maybe like
Spirit
a demo.
Halloween's entire business relies on landlords that haven't been able to sign their property full-time and are willing to take a short-term lease. Out of the top 5 prior tenants of Spirit Halloween locations, 4 of the 5 filed for bankruptcy in recent years.
Bro, this is actually a super smart business model, right? Like you do not have to worry about the actual location for the entire time. You're also building anticipation for when the store opens and pops up in the local area, right? And if you notice, Rite Aid and let's say CVS are generally in super packed areas normally, right? Bed Bath & Beyond the same. And the fact that malls are basically dying, right? I'm not sure Spencer's is going to be able to maintain itself, because the only time I've ever encountered a Spencer's was inside of the mall, right? So it makes all the sense in the world that you would bring in a like a secondary entity in terms, into your corporation at least, guys. I think it's incredibly smart. Savvy.
CNBC looked at a dozen random Spirit
Innovative.
Halloween locations across 11 different states. 11 out of the 12 previous tenants have filed for bankruptcy at some point. The short-term lease is often a win for a struggling landlord as well. It gives them time to negotiate and sign a lease with a long-term lessee while still drawing foot traffic and security to the area.
They're looking to rent that space to a permanent tenant.
Mm-hmm.
That will only happen in the beginning of the year because very few retailers will build out a space and miss Christmas. So once you get to June or July, if you've got an empty retail space, that space is not going to get occupied at the very earliest until January or February of the following year.
Pricing is
Specifically, if
another
it's
important
big.
consideration. This leasing proposal is for a storefront in Redding, California that was previously a Barnes & Noble, a once bankrupt retailer. A broker that CNBC spoke with said that a permanent tenant in the area would pay between $16 and $18 per square foot. That's about $27,000 per month for that location. It's also about the same price as Spirit's proposal for the 4.5-month contract. Suburban Locations usually fall in the range of $20,000 to $40,000 for the Halloween season, according to experts that CNBC spoke with. Meanwhile, a storefront in New York City may be well north of 6 figures.
The difference between 5 and 50,000 feet is not, we don't pay 10 times the rent. We're looking at each of these locations, understanding what our volume potential is, which we've learned over many, many years, and that will translate into a fair rent payment.
Now the pop-up chain is looking to take its business past Halloween. It announced the piloting of 10 Spirit Christmas locations in October of 2024.
Yeah, that would actually make a killing. I'll be honest. That one. Halloween, absolutely. Christmas, absolutely. But what are you going to do for that month? You're most likely going to still have the location, right? But you're not going to utilize. I mean, you probably do Thanksgiving also, but I do think Halloween and Christmas are probably going to be the most lucrative.
8 of those stores are currently Spirit Halloweens, meaning those leases are signed beyond their typical move-out dates. 4 of them were formerly Christmas tree shops, which filed for bankruptcy in 2023. Over the years, Spirit Halloween has become a trusted company within the real estate world. Larry Link, president of New York real estate firm Level Group, told CNBC that its track record has eliminated the risks of a standard pop-up, and Spirit can use that to drive an aggressive deal. This is unique because Link says that New York City pop-up stores would typically pay a 20 to 30% premium to use the space for a short-term contract.
Yeah, I figured it was going to be higher.
That's because renting space to a temporary storefront comes with more risk than a traditional retailer. Some may not decide to leave when their 3 to 4 month lease expires, and litigation is expensive and time-consuming. Spirit says securing contracts was a lot more difficult in its early years.
There was hesitance because of the unknown.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, bro. Like, if you were to come to me and say, hey, listen, you have this location, and And can I please rent it for 1 month or 2 months? I'm like, nah, bro, I'm not even going to do that. I'd refuse it, actually, unless you can sign like a contract with me that you'll come back every year at this time, right? Then I will make sure that I'll just only do short-term leases, specifically in this location. But other than that, yeah, no, I can imagine this was hard.
We were not known. It was just, we had to explain, well, what is Spirit Halloween? You do what? And how do you do that? And why should I have confidence that you're going to come in and be a benefit to me?
The typical challenge of a regular retailer is that you commit for a lease for 5 years and you discover you have a terrible location, but now you're stuck. Well, they are not. In their case, once they find the saturation point, they will learn it immediately, and then all they need to do is not reopen that location next year.
I think this is pretty great.
Chips and salsa.
Chips and salsa.
Yeah, it's a genius concept. I just wouldn't do it
I
for
think we'd
most
get a lot of
companies.
funny looks at the office, but
I did not wear a costume last year.
I know some people did. I think this is our year.
To run its 1,500 store temporary retail business, the company is hiring 50,000 seasonal workers in 2024.
Labor market can fluctuate from year to year. Labor market can be fluctuating because of more short-term issues that are harder to anticipate. And I think that that's kind of the exposure that Spirit and other companies selling for short time windows are exposed to.
But there are some other potential challenges too. Although many Spirit Halloween stores are open for 3 months, a lot of the company's sales are done in the 2 weeks leading up to the holiday.
If it's a really cold year, if it's a storm coming through and the kids are not going to be able to go out trick or treating, all those things are going to have a huge impact on the demand for that particular year. By then, the stores are already committed, the inventory is already committed, and that can affect the performance of the Halloween season for that particular year.
When it comes to merchandising at stores, the company carries a mix of things that are ultra relevant and trendy to the current year. Think about the Beetlejuice movie that just came out. It has a whole section here dedicated to just that.
Yeah, but is it licensed? Or are they just like pilfering IPs?
But then there are things that are more classic Halloween. Think evergreen costumes like witches or cats. The company can rely on the fact that year after year, things like a broomstick are going to be sought after.
The evergreen stuff doesn't sell, no harm, no foul. You just carry it into the next season.
Exactly.
Unlike most of retail, having inventory is not a bad thing. If you have to hold it year over year, you can still use it.
It's funny because, you go from these like bloody scream masks to Garfield, all within 20 feet. It's
that's
hilarious.
a Halloween store, bro.
We're actually looking to be in stock
been to one
going
before?
into those last 2 weeks. Whereas other retailers who are trying to fully liquidate really have to be, sort of at their last slicks, if anything.
Another consideration is tariff.
I'm gonna be honest, bro. I definitely wish that they would eventually go public.
With merchandise coming from overseas,
'Cause I would seriously love to be a part of something like this.
those could increase depending on the results of the 2024 election.
They need to anticipate those orders sometimes months in advance to the Halloween season. They buy in locations of the world that are like cheap to produce. You can think of like Southeast Asia, China. That's probably where many of these products are coming from. These require long lead times and a lot of long-term planning.
We're deep into 2025 right now, even conceptualizing 2026. And that's really part of that supply chain puzzle. It's a relay race. We have a calendarization of everything that has to happen. So right now we're in the concepting phase and we're doing a lot of the early prep work, but you have to get those seeds in the ground. And, certainly we'll be influenced by what comes out of our Halloween experience this year.
Hi, bro, you got scared in 4K. All right, guys, listen. I thought it was like the spirit of Halloween, but no, there's a company called Spirit. All right, Halloween. It's intriguing, guys. I love the idea of a pop-up shop that, has the ability to dominate, weirdly, right? I've never actually, done anything like this at all. I don't think I've ever even been to a pop-up shop before, but I love the idea of them, right? It kind of creates like scarcity and things like that, specifically if the products that are being sold are like extremely niche, at least. I like the idea. Again, $1 billion business a year, though. I mean, how much of that is profit, right? Because I can only imagine that some of these things are getting expensive, right? Like specifically if they're actually licensing what they're selling. Yeah, I can imagine how some of these things can get really expensive really fast. I've seen a couple of gigantic brands and things like that, so intriguing at the very least, guys. But again, if they would have come to me and said, "Hey, listen, I need a big box location," and they first started, I would have legitimately turned them down. It would have been my loss, absolutely, right? But based off of the idea of it, just thinking about how their business model is, I wouldn't want to do that, right? Personally. But I'm glad they're making money. I definitely am glad. Well, how about this? I am not glad, though, that they are completely a private company. I think they need to go public. With the amount of money they're making, they can definitely go public and start out with like a decent stock price that people can kind of, engage in at least. But either way, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day.
Guys, before we go, are you guys subscribed to the other channels? Logical Movie Reviews with Mr. L. Boyd along with Mr. L. Boyd Music. Both are found in the description. Check it out.